Hello and welcome to Stories by Tui. Today I will be reviewing Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. So I'll start with the title. Oh, first of all, I put on the headgear and the whole outfit just in honor of the cultural richness of this book, right? So again, let's start with the title, Things Fall Apart. This is what drew me to this book. Of course, I've been wanting to read Chinua Achebe for a long time and just again trying to see if I can read as many African writers, especially the legends like Wole Soyinka. And so I was very keen on reading Chinua Achebe, but this particular book drew me because of the title. And I think it was a time in my life when I was feeling like literally things are falling apart. You know, the way sometimes things just go awry and you're like, well, there's another one and that's another one and what's going on. So I really related and resonated with this book and the title particularly. I didn't even know what it was about, and I was thinking maybe I'll connect with the protagonist or whoever it is that is being affected by things falling apart. So that's number one. And so the book is basically about a man called Okonkwo, and it's set in West Africa. And like I have said, culturally rich, and we're immersed in this community and these villages, different villages, but particularly the one Okonkwo is from, and the practices that are here. And this man is very masculine, like a man's man, and strong. And he's a leader. He grows through the ranks. There's titles in this particular community, and he has 3 wives, and he's wealthy, and all the things that the society or the community has defined as making it, he has achieved. And again, of course, it's mostly a patriarchal society, and we're just taken through his journey. And the interesting thing is that his strength stems from a place of fear, as well as running away from his his origin, like his father, mostly because his father was not respected in the village. I mean, he was like agreeable and good vibes, had soft skills, but he was not hardworking, and so there was poverty, and there was just a lot of things that Okonkwo did not like. And so growing up, he wanted to be everything that his father was not, the complete opposite. And this made him go hard. Like, there was no room for messing up, because he had seen what that looked like and he did not want a part of it. And even for his children, he was running his home with an iron fist and expected things to run a particular way. And so we're immersed in this community, in the cultural beliefs and practices, the rituals. They have different gods and goddesses. There's one for famine, for the land and its health and fertility, and the fertility of just general fertility. There's for different things, water, all sorts of things. And a lot of the times the gods and the ancestors have to be treated like eggs, and any small thing you have to appease. If you mess up in a small way, you have to appease. Something has to be done, and there's different ways of dealing with the different things. There's also many taboos, for example, and things that they believed were like evil spirits. So for example, if someone gave birth to twins, that was not seen as a blessing, that was seen as a bad omen. And so the twins were thrown in the forest, the evil forest. There was ancestors who would come up when, for example, there was disputes in the community and they've escalated. They'd be taken to the ancestors, and everyone had to pretend that these weren't real people in costumes and masks. And in fact, the author hints at one point that Okonkwo was one of the ancestors. So it's an interesting world, and there's a lot of communal living. And if you've heard of this famous quote by Chinua Achebe that when kingsmen come together, it's not because they cannot see the moon from their own homes, but because it is good for kinsmen to come together. And so there's many such rich sayings throughout the book. This communal living, and like South Africans say, Ubuntu. So it has a lot of that. Really makes you realize the beauty of African traditional society. And so we're taken through the life of Okonkwo, and he gets himself into sort of attached to someone he was not supposed to be attached to, someone he considered his son, because, you know, I don't want to spoil it too much, but he got attached, and at some point he ended up doing something because of the expectations of the community that sort of haunted him, and he was banished as a result of what he did. He basically murdered. Yeah. So he was banished, and in a sense, this was like things are falling apart. Everything that he knew was just crumbling before him. But then you're reading that and you're like, there's still so much more to go, and you're like, okay, so what's if this is the falling apart? You know, so you come to realize that there is layers of this falling apart and different angles to it. And this wasn't the ultimate falling apart that the book was. I'm sorry, I'm giving many spoilers. I think I just need to give that disclaimer in the title. And so anyway, they go, and he has to go and rebuild. He goes to his mother's village back, which was different. You always build in your father's village, so he has to start from scratch. But because of this resilience and go-getter attitude that he has, he conquers and he grows. He gets back up, and he's sure that he'll come back with a bang after his period of banishment is over. But that's when we realize now the theme of colonialism and Christianity starts coming into the picture. And we get introduced to the different missionaries that were coming into the community. A lot of the times they were taken lightly, and like, what are these foolish people trying to do? But they were really the ones to soften the ground for the colonial government to come and set a foothold. And we see that influence just creeping in little by little until especially the elders in the community, feels like everything we've ever held dear, everything we've ever believed in, is breaking down right in front of our eyes. And that's where essentially things fall apart. And for me, that particular part really messed with me a little bit, especially because I'm a Christian, and as an African as well, there's this tension between our African heritage and the traditional beliefs, and some of them are really beautiful, and what used to be done and what used to happen and still happens sometimes even today. But of course there were things that we look down upon even today. But just seeing how Chinua Achebe managed to show how differently Christianity was handled, especially by different missionaries. So we see one who sort of handles the community well, respects the culture, sort of tries to bring a balance. And then we see one who comes and is like, everything that you guys do is bad, it's terrible, throw it out the window, this is the way and there's no other way. And it doesn't sit right with you, especially after you've been immersed and you've seen the beauty, and then someone comes and trashes it all up. So I had to sit with this for some time after finishing the book, and I eventually got peace. I went back to the Bible, just trying to figure out where I stand with all of these things. I am at peace now. But yeah, it really brings a lot to thought and makes you sit down and ask yourself, why do I believe in the things that I believe in? Where is it coming from? And I think that's a good thing, you know. And you could feel the pain of these people losing what they've held dear. And I just wanted to, there's that particular line. Okay, I'm not getting it right now, but yeah, by the time you're realizing this is what is falling apart, you can feel the pain. You can feel the pain of the people. And I've gotten it. Let me just read it. It's very beautiful and tragic. So the white man is very clever. He came quietly and peaceably with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and we have fallen apart. Yep. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see what book 2 and book 3 are about. I have some ideas because I feel like there were some characters, especially like Okonkwo's daughter, that, you know, her character was being built throughout the story, and it didn't really get to mature. So I suspect she may feature strongly in book 2 and book 3. I've not read any blurbs or any reviews, so I don't know what to expect, but I'm definitely curious. So yeah, it was a very interesting read. If you've read it before, you can let us know what stood out for you. And as always, share and recommend what you are reading. Thank you and bye.